Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining us for the first time, my name is SSG and I make gameplay commentary videos. And today we're diving into a topic that's uncomfortable, unsettling, and maybe even a little controversial. But it's something we desperately need to talk about. The title says it all, people. And today's title is People in Society Are More Sadistic Than You Think. Now, before we get into this, I want to clarify this isn't about pointing fingers or labeling anyone as evil. It's about understanding a darker side of human behavior that often goes unnoticed, ignored, or even normalized. So buckle up, because this is going to be sort of a deep dive and thought-provoking ride. So let's start with the basics. What is sadism? What is sadism? What do we understand as sadism? Most of us associate it with extreme, almost cartoonish villains, think serial killers or movie antagonists. But sadism, in its simplest form, is deriving pleasure from the suffering of others. It doesn't have to be physical torture, it can be emotional, psychological, or even social. And here's the kicker: studies show that sadistic tendencies are far more common than we'd like to believe. In fact, researchers have found that a significant portion of the population exhibits mild to moderate sadistic traits. Yes, you heard that right. Normal people, not just the ones we see on true crime documentaries. Everyday people have sadistic tendencies, and everyday people, I'm assuming, is you and me. Humanity is very funny, and if you spend time studying people, you often come to find that most people are actually quite sadistic. They enjoy the pain of others. They laugh when people fall. They derive pleasure in some very unfortunate events that may occur in a person's life, and this is a common fact about people. Now, let's talk about everyday sadism. This is where things get really interesting and disturbing. Have you ever seen someone laugh at a prank that went too far, or witness someone tearing another person down just for the fun of it? Maybe you've even been on the receiving end of it. This is what psychologists call everyday sadism. It's the small, often unnoticed ways people enjoy causing harm, to other people. Think about online trolls. They don't gain anything tangible from harassing strangers, but they get a thrill out of it. Why? Because it makes them feel powerful. Another place where everyday sadism takes place is, you guessed it, the workplace. Most co-workers are sadistic, and they enjoy it when your boss reprimands you or you get demoted. They are often very competitive and will do anything to one-up you in the office environment. This is a big part of why people don't enjoy corporate work anymore. They have experienced the sadistic nature of people in a competitive, toxic, and often controlling workspace, and they want no parts anymore. And that's a key part of sadism right there. It's not just about the suffering, it's about the control. Sadistic people often derive a sense of control, when it comes to the little games they play. They see you as a pawn trapped on a chessboard, a little piece of ceramic they can move around and toy with, as is the nature of sadism. Speaking of control, let's talk about power. Sadism and power are deeply, deeply intertwined. When someone feels powerless, when someone feels powerless in their own lives, they might seek out ways to exert control over other people. This can manifest in very subtle ways, like a boss who enjoys micromanaging their employees, or a friend who constantly reminds you to feel superior. It can even be a spouse who feels the need to divulge all your private affairs to their friends and family. Sadism can get really dark, guys, but it can also show up in more obvious ways, like bullying or even abusive relationships. The sadistic person isn't just causing harm, They are feeding off the imbalance of power. And the scariest part, they often justify their behavior to themselves, which can be very annoying. These people convince themselves that the other person deserves it, or that it's just a joke. But when does sadism go too far? Now, here's where it even gets more unsettling. Sadism doesn't always look evil. In fact, it can be incredibly mundane. Think about the last time you saw someone being publicly shamed on social media. Maybe they made a mistake or said something controversial, and suddenly thousands of people are piling on them, tearing them apart and calling them all sorts of names. Why? Because it's entertaining. It makes people feel good to see someone else suffer. Humans love to watch others crash and burn, and this isn't just mere speculation. Studies have shown that people are more likely to engage in harmful behavior when they think it's socially acceptable to do so. In other words, when everyone else is doing it, it's easier to justify it. If you've never experienced gang stalking or bullying from a large group, you might not understand what I'm saying in this video. This video is for people who understand what it feels like to be at the mercy of a sadist, or multiple sadists for that matter. Let's talk about something called the dark triad. To really understand sadism, we need to talk about the dark triad. This is a term psychologists use to describe three personality traits that often overlap. They are narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Sadism is closely related to these traits, and people who score high in one often score high in the others, meaning narcissists crave admiration, Machiavellians are manipulative, and psychopaths lack empathy. But what do all three have in common? All of them are deeply tied to sadism, and sadism is deeply tied to each and every one of them. Add sadism to the mix, and you've got someone who not only doesn't care about your feelings, but actively enjoys hurting you. And here's the thing, these traits aren't rare, they exist on a spectrum, meaning they exist from mild to very severe. And most of us know someone who fits the description, even if we don't realize it. Why do people become sadistic? So, why do people become sadistic? Is it about nature or nurture? The answer is both. Some people are born with a predisposition towards sadistic behavior, but environment plays a huge role. Childhood trauma, for example, can lead to a lack of empathy and a desire to control others. But it's not just about trauma. Our society often rewards sadistic behavior. Whether it's through reality TV shows that thrive on drama or social media platforms that incentivize outrage, when we see people getting ahead by stepping on others, it sends a message: cruelty pays. But it doesn't pay. That's what this video is about. This video is about letting you know that cruelty will never ever pay, and sadism is not the way to go, and it's not the way to chase our dreams. Now, let's talk about the impact sadism has on society. When sadistic behavior becomes normalized, it affects all of us, not just the immediate victims. It creates a culture of fear where people are afraid to speak up or be themselves. They start to walk on eggshells. It erodes trust, making it harder for us to connect with each other, and perhaps most importantly, it perpetuates a cycle of harm. Think about it. If someone grows up being bullied, they are more likely to bully others. It's a vicious cycle, to be honest, and it's one we must collectively put a stop to. Pardon me. So, what can we do about it? First, we need to recognize sadistic behavior when we see it. Pay attention to how people treat others, especially when they think no one is watching. Secondly, we can set boundaries. If someone is consistently making you feel small or powerless, it's okay to distance yourself. This can really improve your mental state and your overall well-being. You don't need to stay there and take that rubbish if you don't want to. You can put a stop to it right now. You can put people at arm's length. And finally, don't be a bystander. If you see someone being mistreated, speak up. Sadism only thrives in silence, so don't give it that power. I know it's hard to stand up for other people, especially if we don't have a track record of standing up for ourselves, but the most important thing to remember here is that habits take time to form. And habits like standing up for other people and standing up for ourselves takes practice. So always practice the habit of doing these things actively. You have to stand up for yourself and you have to speak up. They say evil thrives when good men stand by idly and watch. That is exactly what sadism is. You cannot stand by and watch other people suffer, because this leaves a ripple effect that harms every single one of us every year. Year by year, the shit just keeps on compiling on itself, and before you know it, everybody is a sadist or has been a victim of one, just because good people chose to stand by and watch. So here's the good news. Not everyone is a sadist or is sadistic. In fact, most people are capable of empathy and kindness, but we need to nurture those traits. We need to create a society that rewards compassion and frowns on cruelty, and it starts with us. Every time we choose kindness over cruelty, we're pushing back against the tide of sadism. It might not seem like much, but it adds up. Trust me, it adds up over time. So I guess that's it for this video, guys. What did you think of this video? Is society more sadistic than we realize, or do you think it's just a small vocal minority of people who are sadistic compared to the larger whole? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.